Amen. Lord, we thank you for the gift of life. And as we come to you today, we ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. And we pray that whatever we discuss here, we may retain it. We thank you, O Lord. We pray all this, believing and trusting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Teacher Jacinta, for that prayer. Good morning once again. I want to welcome all the teachers that have joined this call. Thank you so much for joining. Our session topic is the balancing act, and we want to prioritize the teacher's wellness through stress management and mental health practices. In this session, we have had the opening prayer, and we shall have a simple introduction. I'm expecting Mr. Ronald to join. Good enough, he's already here. Yes, he will have something, and then after we shall have in Mrs. Juliet to take us through. This session is an eye-opener to all of us, and we thought about it because of the different reasons that we thought that are really very important for us to address them. And one of the reasons is that between 2021 and 2023, according to the research, it shows that we lost about 1,278 teachers in just 3 years. And therefore, this one is going to create a shortage. So predictions show that by 2025, Uganda will have a shortage of teachers. And one of the reasons that was given was because of that stress that teachers are going through. So in every 8 teachers that you find working or in schools, you'll find that about 6 of them are already stressed. They have stress, but no one has come out to help these teachers to have that kind of stress minimized. And therefore, the percentage of 75% is really very, very big. Just imagine, in case you have 8 teachers in a school, 6 of them are already suffering from mental stress, mental health issues. So we need to help them such that we can be able to sort this issue out. And therefore, we thought that if the teachers are informed about this issue, they can be able to know it, and therefore meaning that we can be able to minimize the rates at which this kind of issue is raising in our schools. And one of the leading cause is that we found out that whenever the demands exceeds the resources that we have in our schools, teachers go on to experience stress. So many of the times, depending on the research we have made, we have found out that whenever the demands of any individual, like the demands for the teacher, goes beyond the resources that are available, many of them go and start experiencing the stress. And therefore, the workshop seeks to address how can we have a balance between the demands and the resources that we have within our schools. We may not have all the resources, but we can have a balance between what we want and the resources that are available in our schools. Therefore, when you look at this picture, it depicts the kind of load that teachers are holding at their back. They have a load that they're holding, and this has led them to have that stress. And therefore, we are calling on this workshop to have some of these issues solved, some of these things shared, such that at the end of the day, everyone is helped, and that we can be able to reduce on the death rates that we have been experiencing in the past 3 years. So this is just a brief background of why we thought about this kind of workshop, and we thought that it would be very helpful for all our teachers in the country and even outside the country, such that we have a smooth run when we are in our schools. Allow me now to invite Mr. Ronald Dungu from the Ministry of Education to address us. Mr. Ronald, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, you are clear.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for joining late, but I know that the hassles of Saturday are very many with everyone, and therefore I thank those who are joining now. I'm also sure members will be joining in because they start from wherever. We all have to go through the hassles, and these hassles are the ones that cause stress for everyone. So it's very important for us to learn how to manage stress. And we'd like to thank you, Holistic Learning Platform, for organizing this with all your partners. I also want to thank our presenter, our workshop facilitator, Mrs. Kavuma, for the many workshops you've done this holiday. It may look as though you are speaking to a few people, but the recordings will go to many people. And this gives us also a basis to continue these programs because they are very, very important. As a Ministry of Education and Sports, definitely would love to see that our teachers are in good state, especially when we are starting the new year. And this workshop is one of those workshops that will contribute to good livelihood of our teachers. And how I wished the head teachers were part of this workshop so that they know what are the issues that bring stress to our teachers, and they continue the workshop within their schools. I will be on and off, but I will try to join in. I always listen in to the recordings thereafter, and I know that there's a lot of work that is going to be touched, and it is important. So I want to congratulate all those who have joined in, but take the message from here and share it with your friends. With those few remarks, Mr. Kaziva, I declare this workshop open, and I want to wish you good deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ronald, for those few remarks. Allow me now to welcome our facilitator, Mrs. Juliet Kavuma, to take us through the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziva. Good morning, everyone online. Thank you for being with us this Saturday morning. It's a bit chilly, but those are very good conditions, better than the very hot January that we've always known. So thank you, Mr. Kaziva. Thank you, Mr. Dungu, and thank you, everyone who is online. You're really welcome to this session. And indeed, as Mr. Kaziva has given us the statistics, I think we need to pay attention. The statistics are real. What is happening in our lives is real. As teachers, yes, all these things are happening. The things I'm going to talk about are not from the mass. I remember one time we used to have a boss who would say, this is not rocket science. So it is not rocket science. The things we are going to talk about, the things that cause us stress, the ways we can cope and manage, they are normal little things within our reach. Just a few things that we need to change here and there, and probably we'll be able to overcome the stress that we go through. So thank you so much, and you're all welcome. And thank you, Mildred, for the prayer. Okay, so our topic this morning is prioritizing teacher wellness through stress management and mental health practices. So as you can see, my name is Juliet Kavuma. I'm a teacher by profession. I was a teacher for so long before I moved into counseling psychology. So I'm also a counselor. I'm a psychologist. That's what I can say. I have a master's in counseling psychology. So I work in a high school as a school counselor. And my work relates to helping students, helping staff, helping non-teaching staff, and all people within the teaching community in my workplace to be able to handle and manage. That does not make me a superhero, no. I'm also human, and I also go through stress, and I know where to go and what to do in order to handle. And that is why we are here this morning, so that we get to know what is stress, how can we manage it, because whether we like it or not, stress is part and parcel of our lives. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of this session? Now, in this session, we want to raise awareness. And why exactly do we want to raise awareness? We need to identify the potential sources of stress, and also to be able to recognize those sources, the signs and symptoms, very early on the onset, let me say, and therefore be able to work on those issues. We also need to provide coping strategies within our session so that people can be able to manage. As we do that, we shall look at practical stress management techniques. We shall also identify a range of coping strategies. And as we do that, people will be able to choose or to see what is it that can help me? How can I handle my stress? And then we also need to promote a positive work-life balance, because we work, but we also have a personal life. So we need to know how can we balance these two. We need to put emphasis on the benefits of balancing work with personal life, because whether you like it or not, work and personal life are intertwined. So how are we going to be able to manage? And also to use the strategies that will be provided or that we shall discuss and talk about to help us manage the workload. Because believe it or not, teaching is a real workload. And then also to uphold a supportive environment by promoting or sharing experiences in order to build a supportive social group while encouraging collaboration. So we need to know who is who. As we come online here, we get to know who is who. We meet people like Mr. Kaziba, Mr. Dungu, Mr. Byamugisha, and other Byamukama, and other people. I've met so many people online, people I've never even seen by face, but I know that somehow, somewhere we shall meet. And when we build such a supportive community and social group, sometimes these are the groups that will help us overcome some of the stresses in life. Okay. Okay, so why even do we have to talk about stress management anyway? Do we have to talk about it? I mean, stress is part and parcel of life, so why bother talk about it? We need to talk about stress management because we are teachers and we play a crucial role in society, especially our impact on the students. And remember that our impact does not only stop on this young generation, but also goes beyond. It goes to the parents, it goes to other staff within the school community, it goes to the community outside the school and the community that we relate with. So we have a very crucial role that we play. That is why we need to be stress-free. That is why we need to manage our stress. And we also know teaching is a very demanding job. It has a heavy workload. And with a new lower secondary curriculum, I think you have seen that. Some people have simply given up because they think, no, I'm not ready for this, I can't handle. Others are hanging in there. So teaching is a demanding job. The workload, I don't even have to talk about it. As teachers, we know. And then high levels of stress negatively impact on the way of thinking, the way of acting. They impact on our physical health, our job performance, classroom control, and job satisfaction. Now, these are some of the things that make up who we are as teachers. If we are stressed, that means even the way we think will not be positive. So if you're not thinking positively, how are you going to be able to control your classroom? How will you manage? Because you always be sick. Physical health will be in trouble. Your physical health will be in trouble. How are you going to perform at your job? Because you're always tired, you're stressed and all that. Job satisfaction, at the end of the day, you say, what is it that I'm gaining from this anyway? Let me just give up and do something else. And those are the ways that Mr. Kaziba told us that the turnover of teachers is becoming or is increasing, that sometime later in the future, Uganda will be lacking teachers. So if somebody is not satisfied at their job, whatever they are doing, they'll just simply give up. And we don't want that. And therefore, the way we act and all that, everything is affected with stress. So that's why we need to talk about stress and get to know how are we going to manage it. Okay. Now, a few quotations here. Teachers spend most of their nights planning. Teachers spend most of their mornings explaining or teaching. Teachers spend most of their afternoons correcting. They are marking. They are looking at activities of integration. They are looking at weekly tests. They are correcting here and there. They spend most of their years encouraging, okay? And then most of their lives are stressing. So because we are always planning, explaining, teaching, correcting, encouraging, doing these demands, home and all that, we cannot avoid stress. It becomes part and parcel of the things that we go through. But we should also know that a teacher, when you look for a definition of a teacher, you'll find that a teacher inspires. He's that person or she's that person who inspires. She's that person who enlightens. A teacher is that person who motivates. Is that person who touches the lives of others forever. Even right now, you as a teacher, there is that other person who touched your life, maybe to lead you to the profession where you are. Okay, so teachers are those kind of people. A teacher makes the world a better place. A teacher is always tireless and dedicated. A teacher is a professional who inspires, enlightens, motivates, touches lives forever, makes the world a better place. Yet that teacher is very tireless and dedicated. So that is what we are. And that is what makes us very important people in society. Okay, so when you look at that picture there, here is why teaching is a difficult job. There are certain things that make teaching a difficult job. Look at the picture there. These teachers, they are relaxing probably in the staff room. But much as they are relaxing, there are certain things that they know they are supposed to fulfill. So teaching is not just something that you just say, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do this, full stop. When you get in there, you really find out that it's not as easy as you thought it would be. So now let's look at the things that make teaching a difficult job. Next slide, please. Oh, Mr. Kaziba, the other one is not coming out well. Okay, so I've seen it. Yeah. So what are some of the things that make teaching a difficult job? Emotional demands. Teaching takes a toll on us emotionally because we deal with diverse students. We deal with students who come from the north, from the south, from the central, from the east, from outside the country, from wherever. When people were teaching online in during COVID, they were dealing with even people who are from China and all that. I know some people who were engaging and teaching people English language, and they were teaching Chinese and all that. So emotional demands it is way high up there because we deal with a diverse group of people with different backgrounds, people with different emotional issues. We have to manage students' behavior. We have to manage conflicts. We have to provide emotional support for those who are emotionally broken, our students and all that. So it takes a toll on us. It becomes very emotional. And yet at the same time, we have to be committed. A teacher has to commit their time into their work because you have to plan for your lessons. You have to grade assignments. You have activities of integration. You have homework and other assignments. You have to prepare for materials that you're going to use to teach. You have to improvise in terms of limited resources. That much we know. It all takes a toll on us. And you find that some of these things are not done even within the time of 8 to 5, which is our working hours. No. You find that some of this time, we are going to spend it in the night. We are planning. Teachers spend their nights planning. Then in the morning, they come and prepare and all that and explain to students. So all this takes a toll on our lives. We have meetings, we have workshops, we have professional development and all those things. It is a heavy workload. Adaptability. There are very many different learning styles. In that classroom of yours where you have between 40 to 80 or even 100 students, all those children are not learning the same way. You'll find that you have to adapt to different ideas, different ways of doing things in order to be able to touch each and every life of the child in your class. And then you also have to learn how to control your class. So all that is under adaptability. You have to keep up with the educational trends like new teaching methods, educating yourself in terms of technology and all that ICT. Like, for example, some of us who finished university way long in the 2000s, you find that ICT was not part and parcel of teaching, but along the way, because it has become part and parcel, then we need to adapt. We need to re-educate ourselves to be able to adapt. All that is still, much as it is professional development, it is still coming down onto us. And then administrative responsibilities. Most of us, you are not only a teacher. Besides being a teacher, you also have administrative work. You are a head of department. You are, you have to keep records of the department. You have to take minutes. You have to handle a certain disciplinary issue. You have paperwork to compile. So many things. You have to assess, you have to make reports, you have to handle discussions, you have to do those classes, remedial classes, you have to look at the new curriculum and all that. So administrative responsibility is also a part and parcel of our teaching workload. And then we have pressure for results. Results are about to come back, and you see the teachers are now behaving as if they are the ones who sat the exams. It's like we are the ones who sat PLE, we are the ones who sat USCE, we are the ones who sat UCE. The moment they say results are back, then we start panicking, we start, the pressure. The parents are coming down on us, the schools are coming down on us, fellow teachers in the department are coming down on you. How come your class didn't get distinctions and all that? So I think you understand what I'm talking about. We have pressure to meet academic goals, to demonstrate students' progress, to balance positive outcomes. Again, all these to meet the desires of a learner, where sometimes we might not be able to meet all the desires of the 100 students in our class, and yet that is exactly what we are supposed to do. And then we have to deal with parents also. Okay, we are supposed to create effective communication with parents to address parents' concerns. Now that we have WhatsApp, you have parents sending you messages all the time on your phone. So you have to handle those issues. You have some parents who are so angry because this is not going right, this is not going on well. The child is declining in mathematics, the child is feeling like this, and all that comes down to the teacher. You also have to build and maintain positive relationships with the parents, because you cannot keep on teaching when you and the parent are not, working on well. You need to be at terms. And then we have continuous learning. We need to stay updated in educational research, in professional development, in integrating new ICT and teaching methods. I mean, the lower secondary curriculum, I think we know that. So you can't just sit back and say, I got my degree, I'm a teacher, I can deliver, I can handle, full stop. No, you need to keep on continuously doing this. And remember that the personal or professional development, you need to juggle it with your teaching load. Because now if you go back to study and you have to do a degree, that means that you have to take on your studies alongside your teaching responsibilities. So sometimes it becomes too much. And then we do all this amidst limited resources. Mr. Kaziba talked about it. Limited resources, low pay, limited classroom resources, the new curriculum and its demands, a lot of things. So you have to do all this. And you have to manage the dynamic or the diverse learning needs of your students. And lastly, or second last, the personal life demands. You have a home to run. Even when you're single, you still have a home to run, because maybe you have parents that you're helping out, you have siblings that you're staying with, you have children that you have to take care of, and all this is done alongside your teaching. And then your personal, your grief and loss. Many teachers are going through grief and loss, and yet they have to manage their pain, their loss, alongside their teaching. So all this is part and parcel of the teaching profession. Okay, so before we go into what all that or what teaching entails and its impact on our lives, let us try to find out, when we talk about the mental health and stress management and all that, what do we mean? So World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, in which you as a person can be able to cope with the stresses of life, in which you as a person can be productive and fruitful, and you are able to contribute to the community productively. Now, if you're able to handle your life, if you're able to manage the stresses of life, if you're able to be productive in your work, you teach your students, they pass, they perform well, you impact on someone, they are fruits that we can see. If you're able to be a productive member of the community, then you are mentally stable. Your mental health is stable. You can deliver. However, sometimes we undergo mental illness because of mental health issues that we have not handled. You're stressed, but you have just left it there. You have not done anything about it. You're overly anxious. You have just let it go. You have not done anything about it. At the end of the day, it becomes excessive, and then it might lead into a mental illness. And a mental illness is a general term for a group of illnesses that may impact on a person's thoughts, the way you think, the way you look at things, your perceptions, the way you feel, and the way you behave. Mental health issues and illnesses can affect your working and personal relationships. I always say that man is a social animal. Now, if you're a teacher and you work with students, you work with people, you have colleagues, and you're unable to fulfill all these demands, your relationships are broken down. Your personal relationship at home will also break down. At the end of the day, you'll be unable to handle. And then slowly by slowly, you might slip into a mental illness. How about stress? When we talk about stress, what do we mean? Stress is the way your body responds to any demand and challenge in life. The way the body responds to any demand and challenge in life. Please pay attention to that. The way your body responds to any demand and if you have a different is what would contribute to what we call stress. Some people will fall sick, they'll be unable to attend to their challenges. Some people will, say, no, I will not go to that class anymore. Each time comes for you to go to that class, you even develop diarrhea, digestive issues. I think we have seen that. Your body response to those demands is what we call stress. It is usually triggered by both positive and negative events in life. You might lose a loved one. You might, be very excited about a promotion and all that because also come because of positive events in our lives. You're very excited about what am I going to do? Will I be able to handle? So it is a positive, you might not be able to handle. And then you become that kind of thing. And then stress, the body reaction, and the emotional of the person to do with the soul. And of course, the physical, just your body. Your body might break down because of certain issues, or emotionally, you might become overwhelmed. You cannot handle. So that kind of thing. And then it is also normal. One thing we should note is that it is normal to be stressed once in a while in life because stress is part and parcel of life. However, if the stress becomes excessive, it affects our health and our well-being, okay? It affects our thoughts, it affects our behavior and our feelings. So that is why we need to handle the stress as soon as we notice that something is not right. Okay. Now, talking about stress, now that we know what stress is, what are the common signs? So these are the common signs, but there are many others. I might not have exhausted each and everything. So there are others that might come up depending on the individual. But some of the physical signs we know. There are times when you simply get those headaches. It is not hot, you are not sick, there is no malaria, but all that time, maybe each time it reaches to go to a certain particular class, you find you have a headache, just out of the blue. Or each Monday morning, even when you don't have a hangover, but each Monday morning, because you have to go to work, the headache starts coming slowly by slowly. Physical signs, constant headaches that never go away, muscle tension and pain. That is also another sign. You have not done any exercises to cause the muscle pain and all that, but then you just find that you have muscle pain. Then continuous fatigue, excessively fatigued. You're just tired. You can't get up in the morning to do what you want to do. And then sleep disturbances. Some people are unable to sleep well. They cannot, they can't sleep. They go to bed but spend half of the night just tossing and turning in the bed. So sleep disturbances can also be part and signs of stress. And then digestive problems. Remember, I said that sometimes you might have that problematic class, that each time you think about going to that class, you feel your tummy turning, your stomach turning. So digestive problems. Others even get constipation. Bowel movement is so slow, it is not moving on well. Sometimes it is an issue indicating that there is a stress issue in your life, but you haven't probably noticed it. And then change in eating habits, eating too much, eating too little, but in most cases, the most common is lack of eating. You find somebody is wasting away slowly by slowly, they are losing weight because they are not eating. They don't feel like eating. There is stress somewhere. Low immunity. You start getting diseases that you did not even have before. The cough. Cough is very common, flu is very common, but there are people who never get such things. You can be in a community, in your classroom, and you find almost everyone or in the staff room has cough or flu, but then you're never that kind of person who gets it. But all of a sudden, you start, getting cough. You just sit near a person who has cough, the next minute you have it. Low immunity. All the time you're sick, you're being affected by this and that. And then over time, you can get, prolonged diseases like cardiovascular diseases, the heart diseases, the digestive issues like ulcers and all that. If the stress is prolonged, if it goes on for a long time, but for a short period, these are mostly the things that might indicate to us that all is not well. The headaches, the muscle tension, the fatigue, the disturbances in sleep, the digestive issues that just come out of nowhere, the change in eating habits, and then the low immunity. And then we have the emotional signs, irritability, angry all the time. Nobody has annoyed you. The department is okay. Your department, you are moving on well with your head of department. And then you're ever angry, you're irritable. Check that. Anxiety, you're anxious about work. Monday mornings, Friday, you're excited to go away. Monday morning, you're just, so angry that it is a Monday morning. Instead of looking forward to, okay, I'm going to work, money will come through, I'll have some money in my purse at the end of the month. No. But for you, you're anxious and saying, it is a normal thing to be anxious about issues, but if it becomes excessively anxious, then we have issues. There are mood swings. People can't deal with you if you have mood swings all the time because they don't know what to expect from you. Even your students will start fearing, and those students can tell. They'll start giving us nicknames like Mode, that kind of thing. Students behind your back, they are calling us Mode and all that because they can read the mood swings. And then being overwhelmed and helpless. So sometimes you find it is too much for you. Yet you are educated in teaching literature, you're educated in teaching mathematics, you're very good in biology, you're very good in SST, you're very good in English and all that. You can handle. But then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed and helpless. You feel you cannot handle. Check it out. Something might not be right. And then you have difficulty concentrating. Sometimes there is no concentration at all. You sit down to make lesson plans, but you cannot even complete. When you go to class, you're off completely. You're not concentrating at all. When you get to class, you are bored. You don't know what to do. You don't know where you stopped. You don't know where to start from. You get in that class and you probably just tell the students, copy notes and all that, no explanation. You have difficulty concentrating on the task at hand. Sometimes memory issues, you forget. You have issues, especially if you've not been sick. When you have been, I remember when COVID came and some people suffered from COVID, me inclusive. I remember that when I went back to class, I had issues with my memory until when I sought help and I got better slowly by slowly. But I know that some people have had issues of memory because they have been sick. But if you have issues of memory, when you have been well and things have not been, bothering you and all that, but all of a sudden you cannot remember this, you cannot remember that, you don't know where to start from, you can't recall what you have been doing and all that, those memory issues might be an indication of the stress in your life. And then racing thoughts, the palpitating heart and, thinking about this, thinking about that. You can never settle all the time. You're worried about that. You're worried about this. That can also be an indication of stress. And then you are unable to make responsible decisions. Of course, when you are irritable, when you have mood swings, when you are anxious, when you cannot concentrate, when you don't remember things, most likely you'll be unable to make reasonable decisions. And yet in our teaching, the students rely on us, the parents also depend on us, the teachers, colleagues also depend on us to make responsible and reasonable decisions. And then related signs. Other signs could be substance and drug abuse. When all of a sudden, some people take a little, but when you start abusing the drugs might not even be the marijuana and those hard substances, but it might be a simple Panadol, a simple headaches. You find that all that time you have a headache, the headaches comes out, the Panadol comes out. In a day, you find you have taken like 5 Panadols. What will happen by the end of the week? You have started abusing drugs. So sometimes you might find you cannot even function without taking that Panadol. Even where you feel that, let me just take a glass of water to ease my headache. For you, you reach out in your purse and you pick up a Panadol. So you start abusing substances. You cannot function without taking a drink, without taking a glass of wine, without taking alcohol, without taking waraji and all that, without taking a bottle of beer. So that could be a sign of the stress in your life. Absenteeism, loss of enthusiasm in teaching, and your detachment from work. You no longer want to go to work because you don't find any joy in doing it. You're always absent without reason. You have lost all enthusiasm for your teaching, your students, your colleagues, and all that. Procrastination. Procrastination is a thief of time. We always procrastinate about issues. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that the other day. I'll do that in the evening. I'll do it in the morning. But when it becomes excessive, even time reaches, the deadline is on Monday, and by Sunday, you're pulling out a pile of papers to mark. That excessive procrastination, yet all this other time you have been there all the time saying, I'll do it tomorrow, the other day. When you reach that kind of level, then there could be stress behind it. Take note of it. And then strained relationships, no teamwork, lack of collaboration. You cannot relate with anyone in your department. You're doing your own things. You have maybe your subject, you have streams, like let me say 5 or 6 streams, depending on the classes that you teach. But you find that the other stream is doing this, your stream is this way. the other stream is doing the other thing, your stream is the other side, because you're not collaborating at all. You're handling issues your own way. You're not relating with your heads of department. And at the end of that day, there will be strained relationships, because people will start saying, that one is just doing his own thing. She's just doing her own thing. There is stress behind that. Difficulty completing tasks. You can't mark in time. You have lots of activities of integration. You're just forging marks. You're throwing them away. You're putting them somewhere you don't care. You're not beating deadlines. You have reduced sense of accomplishments. You're not even, pushed to say, let me be the first person to finish this time, to finish marking. Okay, decline in lesson quality, because now you're going through a lot. You cannot even plan your lesson very well. And then, of course, when your lesson is not planned very well, you cannot deliver accordingly. And then you're also unable to adapt to changes in the curriculum and new teaching styles. We know many who have dropped out just because they feel, I cannot handle the lower secondary curriculum, the new curriculum. I can't hustle that. It's such a bother. Yet in actual sense, those who are teaching it, yes, the workload is high, but it is a very beautiful thing to handle. It is manageable. We can manage, we can handle if we put our lives to it. If we plan accordingly, we can be able to deliver. But if you reach the extent of saying, it is crap, I can't handle, then you're not ready to learn any new teaching styles. You're tired because of stress in your life. Okay, next. Mr. Kaziba?
I have changed.
Yes, next. You haven't changed the slide yet.
Okay, I think. Is it there now?
Yeah, it is okay. Okay, and then the common effects of stress on teaching. Some of the questions that came through the forms that people were filling in for this session, I think there was a question about how does stress affect teaching? Now, these are some of the common effects of stress on teaching. One, burnout, emotional, physical, mental exhaustion, and why all this deters your lesson planning and your delivery. Because now you're so tired, you're so stressed, you become completely wasted. That's what they call burnout. You no longer have enthusiasm for teaching. You're emotionally drained. You're physically sick. You're mentally exhausted. And therefore, when you go through all that, you cannot plan for your lessons. You cannot deliver your lessons very well. And if you can't do that, the teaching and learning will not happen. And then poor communication between your colleagues and students, which creates a negative classroom environment and therefore deterring teamwork. Because teaching is, a joint effort. It is teamwork. It is teamwork. You need to collaborate with your colleagues. You cannot create your own scheme of work, because the streams are many. So you need to be at par, working as a team. Sometimes there are topics that a bit challenging for you, and you need your colleague to come in and handle that topic, and then you handle another one where you're very comfortable. Now, if there is poor communication, all the time you're irritable and angry and people don't know what to expect, all the time you're moody, your colleagues will just sit back, take a step back and say, that one we cannot manage. The same applies to your students. Once you come to class, they'll just sit in there to listen, not paying attention. And my dear, learning and teaching is not happening at all. Chronic stress decreases your job satisfaction. It kills the enjoyment and the professional fulfillment. Most people are in teaching because that is the last resort they wanted. I mean, it was the last resort. It is what they could do at that moment, but they wanted probably something else. But the good thing about it is that when they get into the jobs, they find, oh, it is actually satisfying. Others are into the teaching profession because they loved it, and that is what they wanted to do it. But at the end of the day, when you feel that you no longer enjoy your teaching, you no longer want to go to the school setting, when it is holiday, you celebrate, and when it is coming to end of holiday, you're dragging, everything is not moving on well. That will happen in your classroom too. And then when they are, activities like Mr. Kaziba always puts for us, professional courses, you come and join this, and for you look at them and just push them aside, it is not necessary, that kind of thing. So you will not improve in your teaching, and therefore your stress will be impacting on your teaching. Physical health, poor results, physical health that is poor. I don't know what I wrote there, sorry. It results into absenteeism and inability to attend to students. I think I meant that because your physical health is poor, you're not feeling well all the time, your immunity is low, all the time you're coming up with cough, you are, headaches, you have irritable digestive system and all that, you will keep away from school. You'll not be able to attend to your classes. And therefore, your students will not be learning. They will not be able to achieve their educational goals. And at the end of the day, the teaching and learning is not happening. It also hinders professional development, growth, and adaptability. So I've already talked about adaptability, where people refuse to adapt to the changes and they opt out. They decide to give up. They refuse to join in 2 sessions that train, that give us knowledge, okay? Therefore, there is no professional development. And yet we know that teaching is a continuous process. All the time things change. We need to keep on updating ourselves to know what is new out there. So if we don't do that, we are therefore impacting negatively on our teaching. And then, of course, it leads to teacher turnover. Just imagine that stream or that class that in term 1, it has so-and-so as the teacher of English or the teacher of literature. Then in term 3, it has another teacher. In term 1, year 2, they have another teacher. By the time they go through the 4 years, they've gone through around 5 teachers. And these teachers, not because they are collaborating or not, etc., but because they keep on leaving, going to do other things. Some are giving up, others are going for greener pasture. Teacher turnover impacts on the teaching. So because people become so stressed about certain things that they are doing, or they become so stressed in their teaching, they are unable to plan for their lessons, they are unable to handle certain classrooms, they realize I cannot manage, they decide to give up. So that turnover of teachers impacts on the teaching process. And one of the reasons as to why the turnover happens is because people become so stressed. I want us to look back. Next slide, Mr. Kaziba. I want us to look back at the time when schools opened in 2020, 2022. Just look around and see how many teachers just gave up, because they had been so stressed between the period of 2020 and 2021. Teachers became so stressed. We became the laughing stock of everyone and all that. So some people gave up. So that kind of turnover, schools opened and some did not even have teachers. So that kind of turnover impacts the teaching process negatively. Now, another set of quotes there. No one really learns well when teachers are stressed and burned out. That is why I say that stressed and burnt out teachers or a stressed and burnt out teaching force is an equity. And if we want our students to do well, we have to ensure that educators are doing well too. That is a quotation from Dana Simmons. She's an educator and a researcher. And I think we have seen this. If the teachers are stressed, if they no longer enjoy what they are doing, nobody is going to learn anything. In fact, such a group of teachers who are stressed and burnt out, they are just, a burden onto the administrator, and the administration onto the teachers, onto the parents community, and all that. They are just a burden. So that is why teachers have to handle their well-being. That is why Holistic Platform is helping us to be able to be educated about such issues and manage, because we play a crucial role. Stress is largely self-inflicted. So the ability to manage stress more effectively comes from managing oneself. That is Michael, that name, the long one. So Michael tells us that stress is largely self-inflicted. Some of the things, for example, if you don't plan well for your next lessons, that means when the lesson comes, you'll be panicking. You will not know what to do. You will be confused in your classroom. And at the end of the day, your blood pressure elevates. And then it is stressful. It becomes a stressful environment. You get into class, you didn't prepare, and the children are asking questions. Some of them, these students are very challenging these days. They are knowledgeable. Most of them are knowledgeable. They know. So you're there telling them this, telling them that, and then you'll get this student who will challenge you. And at the end of the day, you'll be embarrassed. You end up stressed. So it is largely self-inflicted, but also the ability to manage stress comes from being able to manage oneself. If we plan our things, we shall be able to manage what we teach and what we do. Stress is like spice. In the right proportion, it enhances the flavor of a dish. Too little produces a bland, dull meal, whereas too much may choke you. That is Donald. That stress is the spice. It is like I said, the stress is sometimes good for us because it pushes us to get solutions. But when we allow it to continue and it becomes excessive, it will definitely choke us. Stress acts as an accelerator. It will push you either forward or backward, but you choose which direction. That is Chelsea. Stress acts as an accelerator. You can be able to handle the stress so that you're able to manage. If you allow it to push you backwards because you're not doing anything about it, then you will choke on it. Now we come to the coping mechanisms. What are some of the things that we can do to help us overcome the stress? These things are not from the Mars. These things are around us. Little things, little changes that we can do. For example, let us try to be mindful and intentional in the things that we do. How are we going to be mindful and intentional? Start by monitoring what stresses you. One of the questions that we had in the forms, it was the question. Okay, someone asked, is it correct to live a solitary life to avoid stress if being among people is the source of my stress? Now, I'll answer that question at the end of the session. But this person is aware of the things that stress them. He or she says, if being among people is the source of my stress, what can I do? So start by monitoring what stresses you. If you monitor what stresses you, you will be able to come up with a solution to handle that. If going to class unprepared is one of your stressors, then work on it. Prepare beforehand. Some people can take a full Sunday after church probably and they sit down and plan their lessons for the entire week. By the time Monday comes along, they know exactly what they are going to teach in class A, class B, class C. Such a person will not be stressed. They will be stressed this Sunday when they are writing the learning material and preparing, but at the end of the day during the week, life will move on smoothly because you are aware that you have already planned your lessons. Plan your day, okay? Plan your day, schedule your tasks realistically, schedule your responsibilities, keep track of your deadlines and your meetings. We all have phones where we can sometimes record, or we have a notebook, or we have somewhere to write where we can schedule our tasks. And lucky for us as teachers, we already have somebody scheduling tasks for us, the timetable. The timetable has already scheduled our tasks. They know that Monday morning I'm going to be in this class. Tuesday afternoon I'll be in this class. So you can schedule your time, but you have also to be realistic in your schedules. You cannot plan an entire day because now we have teachers who teach in many schools, different schools. But even if that is what you do, I'm not saying it is wrong because we need to make a living anyway. But even when you do that, you still need to schedule your time to know that if on Monday I spend my day in this school, and then on Tuesday I spend my day in the other school, because for secondary school, the timetable can allow that. I need to put my work right to know that this is what I'll do on Monday, this is what I'll do on Tuesday. But if you have a morning in this school and then the afternoon you have to go to Luwero, in the morning you are in Mukono, my dear, that is irresponsible scheduling of tasks. Because in between you have like 2 hours of travel between Mukono and Luwero. You're going to be bothered. Even if it is schools that are nearby, you still have to move from from section A to section B. So please plan your schedules and your tasks realistically. If you have responsibilities, administrative responsibilities, you can also schedule those. Maybe on Monday, I attend to this responsibility, and Friday, I attend to this responsibility, etc. Identify what you can control and take charge. Sometimes we cannot control certain things. Like, for example, a question that came through that said, how do I deal with a controlling director of the school who is ever at school Monday to Monday and controls each and everything in the school? Now, let me answer this one. This director, I want to assume it is a private school, and this director is probably one of the owners or the sole owner of the school. And therefore, he's there Monday to Monday. That is like his workstation. That is his business. And he's, making money out of it. And therefore, he would want it to be successful. Sometimes the director might not even be a teacher. And that makes it even worse for us teachers, because the demands will be overwhelming. How do I deal with such a person? One, identify what you can control and take charge. You might not have control over the director because that is his business. However, within his school, you as a teacher, what are some of the things that you can do that can make life easy for you? One, let me attend to my work the way I'm supposed to do it. Okay? Let me be open in my communication with my head teacher to be able to voice some of the things that I think are not going right. It might be very detrimental for you, but sometimes we cannot let things just go the way they are. That is why we have channels of communication. If there is something that is pressing down on me, probably my head of department will be the conduit to tell the DOS that this is what is happening. And the DOS will probably tell the head teacher or the deputy academics. And then the deputy academics will tell the head teacher. And in a way, things will have a route to go through. Okay, so if you cannot control, then let it be. But control what you can. Control your classroom activity, your teaching and learning process, control your relationship with your friends, your colleagues, and life will go on. Be imperfect sometimes. You are human, to err is human. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm not saying be imperfect in the way you're doing things, but sometimes people who are very, the word has run away. People who are very, what is that word? They don't want anything to go wrong. Sometimes we have no control over things. We cannot have control over how other people behave, how the students are going to behave in my classroom. Sometimes we might not have control. If you are this kind of person who thinks everything should move from number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 up to 10, you will be disappointed because human beings make mistakes. If you are the kind of person who thinks everything should move the way you have planned it and you never put room for improvisation, you will be disappointed. So sometimes we need to learn that things might not go my way. Then I need to let go and handle the way they are. So in a way, you'll be able to handle your stress, because if you think things should always go 100% the way you want them or the way you planned for them, you're going to be stressed for nothing. Then be grateful for your accomplishments and focus on your strength. The little that you can, that student who you see was struggling and you have been able to pull that student up. Your accomplishment of writing all your lesson plans and knowing that next week is going to start with me well set and able to handle my things. That accomplishment of seeing these children under your care grow and mature in your classroom, in the way you have taught them and succeeding, be grateful for those things. When you are grateful, you are rewarded more. But if you decide to look at the complaints all the time, you're ever complaining, therefore, you won't even see the good things around you. Self-care. We work in schools, and most of the schools we work in, I'm saying most, some don't, but most of the schools we have or we work in have sports facilities. They have pitches where people can play football, They have those programs for students. And yet we as teachers, we are just ignoring those programs. They have PE teachers. They have football. The students are playing football. The teachers are not participating in any way. Yet you can have a league for teachers. And it can help to cool down on the pressure. It can help to release the too much tension that we might be experiencing. If there is a teachers football club in one school and then another football club in another school, and then you come together once in a while and you have a match between the two schools, it creates collaboration within the community. It releases the too much tension, the too much pressure that comes with teaching. It is a way of exercising. Exercising does not mean we are going to pay in the gym to be able to exercise. Exercising can be as simple as you joining your class as they are doing a certain PE lesson, as they are doing a certain PE practical lesson. That is exercising. It can be as easy as walking around the school. Some people are working in schools and they don't know what is beyond a certain classroom. Their role is to walk into the gate, go to the staff room, go to class, move out of the gate. You don't know what is beyond. Take a walk around your school. You're exercising and you're cleansing your brain. Eat healthy, okay? Eat healthy. Eat healthy does not mean eat meat, eat chicken, eat what? Simple meals that give you energy. Grooming. Work on yourself. Let your appearance be pleasing. When you take care of yourself, we can see that what is on the inside is also reflected on what is on the outside. Each time you walk into the school premises with your hair unkempt, with your clothes not ironed, with your shoes not brushed, we see that your inside is not so well. Grooming should be part and parcel of what we do, and it will help us to overcome the too much stress. Adequate sleep. Spend a night without, going to bed at your regular hour. Maybe spend a night watching a movie up to around 2, and tomorrow you have a lesson, and tell me how tomorrow is going to be for you. You'll have headaches as soon as 8 a.m. in the morning. You'll have a hangover of not even having taken alcohol, but a hangover of sleep. Sleep is the sweetest thing, and it is a medicine for the soul and for the body. Take a break. Take a break. Some of us have a habit of even keeping the students within the classroom, teaching them even when it is break time. Take a break. When those minutes are given to you, the 1 hour of break time, the 40 minutes or the 20 minutes of break, take a break. The afternoon after class, take a break. It will help you to relax. Breathe deeply. Now, this is the time where I realized why in primary school during those PE lessons, they would tell us to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. The reason was none other than helping us to break away from that stressful classroom environment. Try breathing in deeply, breathing out slowly. It will help you to overcome the tension in your body. What the students usually call the chimango in your throat. You breathe in, breathe out. It will help you to overcome. Meditation, yoga, fitness apps. Now, there's so many things as far as technology is concerned. I've seen so many apps. People might say, I am very lazy. I'm very lazy at doing exercises. I don't even have money to pay at the gym. Like I said, we don't have to pay for gyms. It is as simple as downloading something on your phone, and it gives you reminders. It has alarms. You set it, and then it will keep on reminding you it is time for you to do this and to do that. Of course, you set it within your work load, within your work sessions. So you know that if I'm at work from 8 to 5 p.m., I can set my sessions from around 6 or from 5 a.m. in the morning, so that you have some bit of fitness in your body. If you do those things, you find that you'll be relaxed a bit. You won't be so much on tension. And then start on a hobby. Engage in what you enjoy. I know some people who belong to book clubs. They meet once a month, and that little time they meet, they really come out refreshed and reorganized. So think about you and what do I enjoy? In my childhood, what are some of the things that I enjoyed? Do I love football? Can I, join the teachers club? Can I start the teachers club if it's not there? Can I join the community if it is possible? That kind of thing. So find a hobby, please, to help you overcome the stress. Seek help where things go beyond your control. Don't be ashamed to seek help. Every one of us, at any one time in life, there are things that really confront us and we are unable to handle. If you can seek help, please do so. Don't be the kind of person who stigmatizes people who seek help and you say they are weak. They are weak. That person is weak. How can I do this? Because I remember one time somebody told me, no, counseling for what? Counseling in schools. For us, when we were growing up, why did we even have counseling? These children are just weak. You know, we can't be that kind of person. If you need help, seek the help. Nourish your soul with religion. Religion is food for the soul. Let us have something that we believe in terms of religion. Whatever you believe in, let us have something that we believe in. A prayer every morning, a prayer in the evening. I don't know if you've ever heard of what they call serenity prayer and all that. All those things can help us to lower the stress. Then what are some of the reflective practices that we should remember? To overcome stress, talk to your supervisor where need be. Some of our sources of stress could be colleagues in the department. And we have supervisors who are heads of departments, DOSes, who are, deputy academics, head teachers, etc. Whoever you can talk to, please talk to that person when you are going through a challenge and see how you can be helped or how other people can be talked to in order to make life somehow bearable for you and to promote collaboration and teamwork, because sometimes our lack of collaboration and teamwork is the source of our stress. Delegate and collaborate where possible. Like I said, that sometimes we might find I have issues with a certain topic. I have failed to handle it very well. And I know there is a colleague who can handle that topic very well. So if I can delegate or collaborate with this colleague, my source of stress will be alleviated, because now I know that I don't have to stress so much because I'm going to class, I don't know how to handle this, but I have a colleague who can ably handle this topic. So make connections and support groups. I know that women, especially women, they are so much into support groups. You are in schools where you find there is this circle, or what do they call it, cash round. And some people, it's not only about cash round, but they've gone ahead and they've done some bit of investments, and they probably meet once a month to talk about issues. That is already a support group. It might be financial, but the way you talk about issues, somehow you find that personal issues might also be handled in a way. I know women are so active in mothers' union groups. They are so active in Christian groups. They are so active in this kind of group and that kind of group. There used to be Nigina. I don't know if Nigina is still there, those groups. Those are simple support groups that we overlook, because sometimes we think, Twasoma, I can't be part of that community. No, my dear, people find solace and comfort in those groups, and they are able to break down on their stress. I cannot deny that sometimes those groups can also stress us. But if there is a support group that can help you, please be part of it. Make connections with people within your community and outside your community. Clear boundaries between work and personal life. Okay? We carry work so much into our homes. After 5, you carry your activities of integration into your home. Sometimes, toshebera, or you cannot manage. It is something that you have to do because you have to beat a deadline. But don't make it a habit that every time you leave work, you're carrying work home. You will not be able to relax. Yet you need to relax. Schedule your work into sizable chunks that you can chew. Take up professional development to stay updated and confident. Sometimes we are stressed because we are not confident in some of the things that we have to teach, we have to handle. We see these young people who come into the department as more, more confident because now they have just come onto the onto the working force. They have just come out of university, and we forget that we are more experienced. And the little thing that we need on the side is just professional development, a few courses here and there, and most of them are free. There are so many free online courses that we can take. There are many, and Mr. Kaziba has provided many. So if we just ignore such, we might find that sometimes it becomes difficult for us. We'll be outdated and we won't be confident. Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. So if we put some of these practices in place, we shall be able to handle our stress. Now, resilience, hang in there. We need to learn to be resilient. What does resilience mean? Resilience means the ability to overcome problems and challenges, adversity in our lives, and we are able to bounce back and handle those issues that are before us. How does resilience help us? If we are able to overcome challenges, we were able to overcome 2020 and 2021 where we were so broke, we didn't have anything to do as teachers, but now some people came up with different financial ideas. Some have succeeded, some have gone ahead and even left teaching and all that. Those people were resilient. They never gave up, because we know that others committed suicide during that time because they had nothing else to do. People, resilience is important in our lives. It helps us to learn to adapt to changes. It helps us to embrace the lower secondary curriculum as it is today, and we just find ways of handling it and fitting it into our teaching profession, much as we've been 20 years into the teaching and even above, and we have been doing things differently. Now we have a new challenge on our plate. How we handle that new challenge is what shows that we are resilient, because we know that some people have simply given up and they have left the profession. Positive mindset. We focus on solutions, not the problems, and we look at challenges as opportunities. I remember Mr. Dungu likes saying that opportunities come dressed in overalls. So if you are resilient, you have a positive mindset that, yes, I can be able to handle. Even with my teaching, I can have a side hustle that I can do because I have the time to do. For example, we've just been in a holiday of 2 months. What have we done with a holiday of 2 months? Is there something that has brought in some bit of income? Is there something we have done? Have we learned a new skill? Have we done this, that kind of thing? So if you have a positive mindset, you are resilient. Resilience helps us to regulate emotions. If you are the kind of person who breaks down all the time because you have a challenge, then you're not resilient, okay? So you need to learn to be resilient, to be able to, yes, when you break down, you can come back and be able to manage. Resilience helps us to enhance problem-solving skills. We are in the teaching profession. Problems are part and parcel of our classroom. Problems are always there, maybe among students, student relationships. All the time you find that you have to handle this, handle that, handle that. If you're resilient, you can come up with ideas of handling those problems within your classroom. You maintain perspective. You know what you want and you don't give up. You know what you want, you maintain perspective on what you want. And that is, if you're resilient, you maintain perspective, you recognize the challenges as part of life, and therefore you continue enhancing your commitment to your profession, your teaching profession, instead of just waking up and saying, I am done. I am done, I've given up, I can't manage, full stop. No, you maintain perspective, you know why you were a teacher, you know what you want for your students, then you plan accordingly. You build relationships. Teachers are lucky Just imagine if you teach in a school, a community of maybe 500 students. Let me say all those students have like, you know, even if maybe I have widened that a lot. You have a classroom, you are the class teacher. Your class has around 40 to 100 students. All those 40 to 100 students have parents. Those parents are probably maybe two or one guardian or etc. Do you see the chain of people that you're connecting with? Many, many people. And amongst those many people, there are some who are going to become your true friends. There are some who are going to become your savior later in life. There are some who are going to help you out in one way or the other, even amongst your colleagues. If you build strong relationships with your colleagues, it might not be exactly a friendship relationship, but I know you, you know me, acquaintance relationship, so that when I meet you somewhere, we are not strangers. We have met somewhere before. And therefore, somehow, somewhere, you can open doors for me. So build relationships. I'll pause and give you an example. One time I had an issue with, I kept on getting these emails from URA, and they were demanding money for me for rentals. I didn't have any rentals, but my name was there, Nasolo Julieta. My maiden name used to be Musanji, Nasolo Juliet Musanji. I had rentals and I had to pay, and the money was in millions that they were demanding, of around 5 million. And in my life, I knew I didn't have that, that kind of investment by then. And therefore, I had to, they sent one letter, then another one I just ignored. Then the third one they sent was threatening to take me to court. So I got up and said, I need to see what is going on. Maybe somebody is using my name, etc. So I went to URA. It was this side of Kubiri, Mulago, Kakande's church, somewhere there, Mulago Kubiri. So I went to their offices, and that day I came from school because I was wearing the corporate shirt for my workplace. When I walked in, I requested here because of this issue, and they sent me to this person. And it turned out the person, the moment he read what was on my corporate shirt, he said, "Oh, so you are a teacher in that place? Oh, welcome. I used to have a daughter there, etc, etc." And then we started chatting, and then, "What brings you here?" I said, "This issue." And then he looked at it, he said, "Are you sure you don't?" I said, "I don't. I actually don't, because I don't know how my information ended up there." So this person said, "Did you do this? Did you ever do this? Then I remembered there was a time when we were away, and then we had our home rented by some people. And I think that is how my information got in there. But now those people were even here for just a few years and they went. So this person helped me to sort out that issue, because the truth is they were demanding for things that were not really there. So build relationships. If I didn't know this parent, I would probably have been taken to court by that time. So be confident. Resilience is what helps us to be confident. If you can handle issues, then you are confident even in your classroom, and the stress factors will be at bay. Of course, the little stress will always come in here and there, but because you're resilient, you're able to handle those stress factors. Thank you. Okay, stop stigmatization, people. Seek help when you need it. Make use of professional development workshops. When you see those that are posted, when you come across them, people share so many things on WhatsApp. Pick out what is beneficial. Attend those professional workshops. Stop stigmatization. Attend mental health workshops. All those things, you learn one thing or two. Join students in counseling sessions, or even offer counsel too. So sometimes when the term begins or during that term, the schools invite people to come and talk to their students and all that. But teachers usually sit back. Yet if you join some of these sessions, you might find that you learn something or you have counsel to offer. Please be part of those sessions. Be part of the mental health services for groups within your school, within your community, within society where you are. Some are at church, those services, some of them are at church, in our places of work, in wherever. So you find that they are there. You hear about them, please join. Establish peer support networks. I've already talked about that. In your classroom, you can, if you are a class teacher, maybe you can it will get that student who can help. And then you as a teacher, peer support, you as a teacher within your fellow departmentals, like I say, the people have cash rounds, have support groups. All those can be groups that look out for each other. Start wellness programs within your school for teachers. Our students have the wellness programs, they have the PE, they have the football, they have the sports, but us teachers are just left behind. We don't join. So people can do things like Zumba, people can do boxing, people can do games, boxing for fun, boxing for stress management. People can do games. You can have a Saturday afternoon where teachers meet and play this game and participate in this activity. It is helping to drop or to lower some of the the stress that we have. And it is also helping us to overcome the stigmatization, things like thinking we are weak if we do this. Flexible work arrangements to balance life and work. It is also, I've already talked about that. You can't be the person who works in Mokono in the morning, in the afternoon you are in Muwero. You need to sort out those issues. School leaders should acknowledge that teachers too have challenges and provide resources. Our administrators who are online today, people remember, it's not only that students who have challenges, even teachers have challenges. Please provide resources for your teachers. Read publications like the New Vision and Monitor. They have those sections of wellness. They have the wellness, the how woman and all that. They have a lot of information coming through for us to read. So every once in a while, please read those articles. They help to enlighten us and they help us to know ways of handling certain issues. Next. Yeah, before we do the stress relief activity, what are we taking home? We should know that seeking help is not a sign of weakness. When you're really going through issues and there is that person who can help, I know sometimes we need to keep things to ourselves. The seeking help does not necessarily mean that you're going to speak to a person. Seeking help can be you taking it in your hands and maybe starting that sports activity for teachers. You're already seeking help by doing that. Take it into your hands and do something. It is not a sign of weakness. Teaching is a demanding profession. That much we know. And we should work on ourselves. There is no way we can pour from. We are going to pour from empty cups. Our cups have to be full. We have to be able to manage our stress. And we have looked at certain coping mechanisms that we can put in place. Tailor different strategies that we have talked about to meet your needs. If your director is the kind of person who cannot allow that kind certain things, find ways of seeing how can we get this person to see that this is necessary. How can we get this person? I think we are human, but sometimes we behave the way we do because we don't know. We don't know the relevance of making sure that our teachers are mentally stable. Yeah, we think they are adults, they can handle, yet they are suffering. Okay. And for our stress relief activity today, I chose something that can be, very relevant to us because we are online. For example, share songs you love to listen to. Some people you can put write in the chat. What are some of those songs? And maybe Mr. Kaziba can play for us one of those songs that people are sharing. Usually there is that song that can really touch your mind, or any other activity. So I chose songs. Why? Because we are online, we can listen to the song. I can't choose a movie. We don't have the time to watch the movie, but so TikToks, it has become a way of entertainment. Some people watch them, others who don't watch them. There is usually something that can ease your mind at that particular time and take away the stress. All those things are there. So thank you so much, Mr. Kaziba. I think that is it for today, before we go into the question and answer session.
Bring your business online with GoDaddy. Get all the help and tools you need to succeed.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Teacher Juliet, you can first conclude.
Mr. Kaziba, someone has just made my day. I've been reading through the chat. Ambrose says, thank you, Juliet, for not eating the fees. And by saying that, you have already relieved my stress. I was also very much on tension. I was presenting to teachers. They are educated, they know, so you cannot just come up and just say anything. So I've also been on tension here, but Ambrose, you have just made my day. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Teacher Juliet, for that wonderful presentation. And we want to thank all the teachers that have been online. And next on our agenda, we are going to have questions. In case there is any question you have, it can as well be a submission. In case there is something you want to share as well, this is the time you can have it. So you can just raise up your hand, or you can put your question in the chat, and then it will be answered. Okay, yes, Mr. Godfrey.
Thank you very much, Madam Juliet and Teacher Kaziba. I'm Godfrey Yusuf Yamkama. One time worked as a chaplain under St. Luke's Church in Tinda, but I'm now Deputy Academic Swampewanta cases. And usually every morning, I send out inspirational Bible verses to different groups on WhatsApp, and also under New Vision, the digital vision of New Vision. But through that, I've got some people who have opened to me, some of the staff members and different people. And some of the things I've found that have been a source of stress and depression among the teachers, as Teacher Juliet, Madam Juliet has indicated. At times, it's even the heads of department within the school, because there is where one of the teachers from one school approached me that she was even planning to commit suicide, because the head of department was always pointing out she doesn't know how to teach, even removed her from a candidate class. And at the same time, she was having family issues. So with those two issues, I've had really put pressure on her. So I was able to, my own way, to counsel her and also give her to a professional counselor. And that was quite helpful to her. And another issue I've seen is unforgiveness. Because at times there's a saying that if you don't forgive, it is like taking poison and you expect another person to die from that poison. So at times unforgiveness also causes a lot of stress, and which may lead to depression. That was my supplement this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Godfrey, for that submission, and thank you so much for sharing. Okay, yes, Mr. Patrick. Mr. Patrick, unmute.
Yes, thank you. I would want to thank the the presenter for the wonderful presentation. And I would want members to know that there are various ways we can encounter stress. Anyway, first of all, I'm Patrick Ariu. I'm a teacher by profession. I teach secondary. And I do many things. And what I want to urge people is, we get stressed at school, you can get stressed at home, you can get stressed in wherever place you go. But there are ways you have to handle them. One, you have to engage yourself in doing some simple exercise. Whether you're big, whether you're getting old, there are various type of exercise that you can do. Two, we have to communicate to one another. In our different departments, schools, we have to communicate. When you don't communicate, you can even die. But when you communicate, you can handle the stress, somebody will advise you. Then another thing is, I want us the teachers, because I've seen most of the people here are teachers. Let us learn or to accept what we call professional development. And let us not be contented with, oh, let us be not contented with what we have as the salary. Let us try to reinvest in the little we have and be contented with it. As we invest, we'll have a happy life. Some of the stress we are getting as teachers, you get somebody, you might have not planned what you have, what the government is giving, and somebody may not be having what is enough to keep the family, and you begin thinking and overthinking. But whatever little the money is, when you plan well, when you invest it, it can be enough for you. And that is what I want to tell people. Me, I do many things. I'm working with around 2-3 NGOs, but I'm also teaching. There's one NGO called Uganda Teacher Rising. The co-founder is in UK. One time I was presenting in public service. I also presented in NCDC. I worked with Africa Educational Trust, and I was also working with Compassion. Now, all these things needs professional development. I went for series of training, and I'm calling our friends. If we can collaborate, we used to have online workshop like this. And today when I saw the link sent to me, I was very happy. And when we share like this, somebody may be touched. Even if you were having something which was touching you, you can be relieved. So I'm grateful for the presentation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, for sharing. That is good. Mr. Ivan?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Ivan.
Yes, I want to thank the presenter for today's presentation. I'm Ivan, and usually I teach in a school called Mereir in Barara, that is in Western Uganda. Basically, I want to tell the people who have attended that stress is very, very bad because it can lead to low immunity in your body. Me, I am, talk about myself briefly. I am the only Ugandan who went for nuclear science and technology training in the United States of America as a teacher. But what I realized, for every course we would do, after like 7 hours of work, would go to the field, would go to the journals, we would go to the country cinemas, and the presenter was like, wherever you go, wherever you find happiness, then you are relieving stress. So people, let's not be rigid on our lives. People, let's be free on our lives. Let's be free with the learners we teach. Let's laugh with them. Let's laugh with everyone. Because I tell you, stress is killing very many people in this country and in the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for that sharing. Okay, looking in the chats, I'm just looking through the chat to see whether there is any question coming in. But Juliet, I think let me read some of the questions that came in the forms. But I think many of them have been really answered. Okay, I think for the director, you were able to answer it. Okay. I think many of the questions have been answered, and a few I think that we have, because some of the sources, I want to just share this briefly. When you look at the form that the teachers were filling, you can notice that many of the things that we are stressing them, some of them, the ones I've been able to highlight, workload, it means, which shows that at times they are overloaded at schools, but I think we are going to be able to talk to the school administrators to see how they can adjust such that teachers are not overloaded. You find someone having more than 25 lessons, that might be too much for one person. But we shall be able to address them through the ministry and other organizations. Okay. Yes, Mr. Ivan, your hand is still up. Okay, I think it is okay. Okay, maybe Juliet, you can give your concluding remarks, and then I can invite Mr. Ronald to close off the session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Just to add on, in one of the questions, I think we looked at it, but somebody asked that, if I know that my stressors are other people, is it correct to live a solitary life? So I answered that, I think I mentioned that it's okay that this person knows who is stressing or who or what the stressors in his or her life are. But to answer your question, it is not good to be isolated because man is a social animal. We need to collaborate. We need to learn to work with other people, and we work in a profession that is people related. So feeling isolated or living a solitary life will just create more isolation for you and more health issues. You will have limited support. You will miss out on any opportunities for collaboration. Even when there is a time when somebody has to maybe choose who should go for professional development, you will miss out because you're always isolated. There will be no professional growth. It will hinder your overall well-being, and you miss out on valuable ideas, and even you can't share your valuable ideas with others because you think they are stressing you, and therefore you prefer living a solitary life. However, on the other hand, solitary life can also be beneficial, especially if you think that people are stressing you. It can allow you to avoid external pressure. It can allow you to focus on your work and reflect on yourself and what you want, and also come up with new teaching ideas and things to come up with. But you need to know that you are working in a people-related job. It is a people-related job. You have colleagues you work with. You are not a one-man do it all. No. Even the students themselves are people. And if they stress you and you keep away, how will you manage? So you just need to learn to balance your work and your personal life, and you will manage. So that answer. And then other questions were about, how do I know that I'm stressed? We answered that. How does stress affect your performance, teacher performance? We answered that in the slides. How do I deal with a controlling boss who is a director or sometimes a head teacher? Head teachers stress us a lot. I think we have mentioned those. And please, bosses, head teachers and all that, if you're here, now you know that your teachers can also be stressed, so you can handle. So my concluding remark is, I read somewhere someone this person is a psychologist, and she summarized life in 3 things. She said that sometimes we are able to handle our lives if we have someone or something to love, if we have something to do, and if we have something to look forward to. And indeed, when you look at life, love plays an important role. And when I talk about love, I'm not talking about only romantic relationships, but I'm talking about things that keep you busy, If you have a hobby that you love, that you engage in, it will lower your stress. If you have something to do, you wake up every morning, go to work or engage in something, then life will move on. And if you have something to look forward to, you will always be happy that, yes, I'm expecting this, I'm looking forward to this. And it will kind of lessen the stress in your life. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaziwa. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, Teacher Juliet. And we want to thank all those people who have been able to join. Thank you so much. We shall have more sessions in the future, more so in the holidays when the teachers are in holiday. That's when we shall have more sessions. But next week on Monday, we shall have a students session still on the same issue. We shall be releasing the poster immediately after this session. Those parents who may have children at home, that session will be theirs. It will happen on Monday, starting at 2 p.m. And then after that, we shall have, I think next Saturday, if things go well, we shall have another session on parenting before the children return to school, such that also the parents can receive their last package as they release the students to go back to school. And then the Monday that will come, I think to be around 29th, we shall have another session for teachers, and it will be on the new curriculum. So that's how we are going to move before we go back to, before we report back to our places. But we want to thank you so much for your time you put in to attend these sessions. We are really very grateful, and we shall continue to serve as much as we can. Allow me now to invite Mr. Ronald. Mr. Ronald.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kaziba. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you are clear.
Yes.
Okay. And thank you, Madam Juliet, for the insights you've given us. It's been worth the time online, and it is also a start for us to think deeply on how we can support each other and support the teaching fraternity. I'm not sure if we got some of my colleagues join in from the ministry, but I know that I've talked to colleagues in the counseling and guidance department to follow these sessions. But what we want to do formally is to see that we link Madam Juliet with this team at the ministry, and we start to do serious online sessions even during the term, because even just listening into this session would do a lot to help someone to know what to do and what not to do. When I was still very active in the classroom, I just decided to always work with the students. So I got involved in student clubs. I got involved in project work. I chose agriculture and ICT as my main areas of work, and started to interpret what I teach from those fields. So you will find me teaching my lesson while we are growing bananas, while we are milking cows, while we are planting feeds for the animals and learning how to make feeds for the animals and feeding the animals and milking the animals. But when we are studying our mathematics. So as a teacher, we need to get out of that comfort zone and find areas that can interest us. Initially, it might also be a stress to understand what you can do, but finally, you'll find excitement when you are working with young children out of the forward classroom. If it is sports, interpret your biology in sports, interpret your mathematics, interpret your English language in sports, interpret your fine art in sports, and work with the learners out of the forward classroom. It will help you to enjoy life, enjoy teaching. But beyond that, the other stress is the thought that when I run up and down from one school to another, I'm making money. You might also discover that you are stressing yourself more and you're spending more money in medical bills. And when you think about it and sit in one station, spend a little data to do online courses, develop projects, work with the projects, like somebody shared, you might find that there is a non-government organization in that district that will find you useful, and you actually begin to teach, but also go out in your free time to work with that non-government organization in that community of yours. And you are developing your career, you are enhancing your skills, and that might be a better deal than you running up and about, thinking that you are adding more money to your bank account, and yet you are spending it in stress management issues. So I want to request those who have been online, and I don't know, Mr. Kaziba, whether all these friends of ours are coming from a record where you can know who attended, but you can also invite the members here who are not on the Forum for Innovative Teachers, where you communicate a lot. You can invite them either by sharing a link in the chat, whoever is not there, to register, and you send them a link, and they join the forum, because it would be good for us to build a team that is going to now support the whole country in the area of counseling and guiding and supporting. And those who are interested, you dedicate yourselves to supporting others. If you decide to work for other people, let me tell you, a lot of good will come to you. When you give your time, like Madame Juliet has really given time to us during this holiday. Now you can see I'm asking whether Madame Juliet cannot work closely with the counseling department in the Ministry of Education and Sports, and we develop activities to support teachers in schools. When you decide to offer yourself for the benefit of the other, a lot of good will come to you, but it is also a good feeling that you are supporting another person. And for us who are saying, but where is the pay? I'm now spending money online. Money will find you along the way. Money usually finds those who are ready. Money cannot find somebody who has nothing to talk about. So members, let us think deeply about the issues that have been raised, but also get to know that many of our colleagues are dying off slowly. They're dying off slowly. They have no hearing. They have no one to listen to them, no one to speak to. But online, in this session, I had people sharing. They could be helpful to other members. So we'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and try to mobilize teachers when they are on station, when they are back to work. Probably they are easier to mobilize so that they listen in to these discussions. I want to thank you, Mr. Kaziba, and your team for continuing to support this country. I want to thank you, Madam Juliet Kavuma, for the good work you are doing. I want to thank all the teachers and all the friends who have been online. And I want to say that let us continue interacting. Let us continue building strategies to support the education in this country. With those few remarks, I want to call this meeting to an end and declare the session closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dungu, Teacher Kaziba for organizing, Mr. Juliet for presenting.
Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye. Nice. It was very nice. Thank you.
The lesson.